Some invitations change lives. Others expose hidden brilliance in the most unexpected places. This is the story of a joke that turned into a revelation. When power met quiet genius, and underestimated brilliance flipped the rules of the game. It all started in the mansion of Eleanor Fairchild, a powerful, self-made millionaire who prided herself on never missing a detail. The Fairchild estate was known for its extravagant decor, pristine white marble floors, and silence disturbed only by the ticking of antique clocks. Eleanor had built her fortune from tech investments and patent royalties, and in her world, time wasn't just money. It was dominance. Eleanor employed a black maid named Camille. Camille was respectful, humble, and kept to herself. She had worked in the Fairchild household for 6 years, arriving on time, leaving late, and never overstepping boundaries. She was invisible by design because she knew too well what happened to people like her when they took up space in the wrong rooms. But Camille had a secret. Her 10-year-old son, Zaire, was a prodigy. She homeschooled him quietly, taking extra shifts and cleaning late at night just to afford used chess books and online courses. Zaire had been playing chess since he was 4. What started as a curiosity with a plastic chess set from a thrift store had become an obsession. By the time he was 6, he was beating adults at community centers. By 9, he was running simulations against AI programs meant for grandmasters. But Eleanor didn't know that. She just saw Zaire one day when he came to wait for Camille at the end of her shift. He sat quietly in the corner, with his eyes glued to a dog-eared chess strategy book. Eleanor, bored during one of her high society brunches, decided to amuse herself. She had a custom chessboard in the sunroom, an heirloom passed down from her grandfather, who'd taught her the game as a child. It was a symbol of elegance, power, and legacy. That day, as her guests chattered about hedge funds and gallery openings, she called out, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Camille, is that your son reading that chess book?" Camille nodded hesitantly. "Yes, Mom." Eleanor smirked. "Bring him over. I want to see what he's got. Let's play a match. Me and the little genius." Her guests laughed. It was supposed to be a joke, a light moment, a spectacle. Camille froze. Her stomach dropped. But Zaire stood up, clutching his book to his chest. He walked over slowly, eyes fixed on the beautiful inlaid chessboard, his fingers twitching with excitement. Eleanor raised an eyebrow. "You know how to play, kid?" Zaire nodded. "Good," she said, pulling out the chair across from her. "Let's see what you've got." No one knew that within the next 30 minutes, the room would fall silent. Not from politeness, but from shock. The first few moves were textbook. Eleanor opened with a queen's gambit, confidently placing her pawns while sipping white wine. Zaire mirrored her moves, calm and expressionless. A few guests leaned in with polite amusement, waiting for the moment the boy made a mistake and Eleanor delivered a clever checkmate. That was the script they expected. But within 10 moves, the tone changed. Eleanor furrowed her brow. Zaire had declined her gambit, not with hesitation, but with precision. He repositioned his knights in a way that cut off Eleanor's middle control. She blinked. Guests stopped talking and slowly drifted toward the sunroom. "Interesting," Eleanor muttered, readjusting her plan. She pushed her bishop diagonally, aiming to bait the boy into an exchange. Zaire didn't fall for it. Instead, he sacrificed a rook to draw her queen into a trap. Eleanor caught herself before gasping aloud. She was being cornered. Not only did the boy understand the strategy, he was 5 moves ahead. The laughter had stopped. Even the servers paused. Camille stood by the door, torn between pride and dread. She knew what this would mean if Eleanor lost. It wasn't just a game anymore. It was a statement. By move 20, Eleanor was sweating. Not outwardly, of course. She kept her posture straight, her eyes calm. But her fingers tapped the table. Her queen was exposed, her king vulnerable. And Zaire, still calm, still quiet. Then it happened. Check. Eleanor stared at the board. Her guests whispered, "Checkmate." The room froze. Zaire looked up, his soft brown eyes steady. "I think that's checkmate." "Ma'am," he said quietly. Eleanor blinked. Her lips parted, but no words came. The laughter that had once filled the air now turned into an awkward silence. One guest coughed, another looked away. Camille stepped forward. "Zaire, come," she said, her voice shaking. Eleanor finally spoke. "No," she said. "Wait." Zaire turned back. Eleanor's eyes weren't mocking anymore. They were calculating, curious. But there was something else too. Something dangerous. "Where did you learn to play like that?" she asked. "My mom taught me to read the books. I watch videos. I practice every night." Eleanor nodded slowly. She wasn't used to losing. But losing to a maid's son in front of her peers, that wasn't something she could swallow easily. And yet, part of her was intrigued. "I want him to come back tomorrow," she said flatly. Camille hesitated. "Mom, I want a rematch." The next day, Zaire returned. This time, the chessboard wasn't just a centerpiece. It was the battlefield. Eleanor had spent the night reviewing tactics, revisiting old games, replaying her mistakes. She wasn't going to lose again. Not in her own home. Zaire arrived wearing the same clean but faded jeans, clutching the same book. Camille stood outside the sunroom, wringing her hands. Eleanor's guests were fewer today, but the tension was thicker. They played again. This time, Eleanor was sharper, more aggressive. She attempted a Sicilian defense, hoping to surprise the boy. Zaire responded not with fear, but with elegance. He didn't just play well, he played beautifully, like a dancer who knew every step by heart, but wasn't afraid to improvise. This match lasted an hour. Zaire won again. By the end, Eleanor stood up and stared at him for a long time. No words. Just realization. Then she said something no one expected. "You don't belong in a house like this, scrubbing floors," she told Camille. "He doesn't belong in the shadows." Camille opened her mouth, but Eleanor held up a hand. "Give me 1 month," Eleanor said. "Let me sponsor him. Coaches, tournaments, travel, anything he needs." Camille's voice was trembling. "Why?" Eleanor looked at Zaire. "Because I see myself in him, but smarter, quieter, better." It began that very week. Private lessons, a new laptop, new boards. Eleanor even took time off from her business to travel with them. Zaire began entering junior tournaments, wiping out competition twice his age. News spread quickly. "Chess prodigy from Bronx household astounds nation." Read one headline. "The next Bobby Fischer." But smarter. Read another. But with fame came pressure and enemies. One night, just before Zaire's National Junior Championship debut, Eleanor got a call. The board was considering disqualifying him. An anonymous complaint had claimed that Zaire's matches were suspicious, that a kid like him couldn't possibly be that good without cheating. Eleanor was furious. Camille was heartbroken. But Zaire, he said nothing. He just asked, "Can I still play?" And what happened at that tournament would go on to silence every doubt, every insult, and every assumption anyone ever made about who could be a genius. The room buzzed with quiet murmurs. Players, coaches, reporters. They all whispered the same thing. That's the kid. Zaire sat at table 1, calm, focused, while flashes from cameras lit the room like lightning. The match began. His opponent was a 14-year-old international champion. Tall, cocky, and from a prestigious chess academy in Europe. People expected fireworks, either from Zaire's supposed failure or an epic clash of minds. Zaire delivered something else entirely. By the 12th move, the crowd fell silent. By the 20th, jaws dropped. By the 30th, there was no question. He was the real deal. Checkmate. The hall erupted in applause. Zaire didn't smile. He just looked around, as if quietly absorbing the moment. The same boy who once played alone in a kitchen while his mom cleaned the halls of the powerful had just defeated one of the top-ranked players in the world. Fair, clean, unapologetically brilliant. Eleanor hugged Camille. For the first time, she understood something deeply personal. Genius doesn't come dressed in wealth or privilege. Sometimes it shows up in second-hand shoes, holding a dog-eared book. Later that night, a reporter asked Zaire what he wanted to be when he grew up. He looked up thoughtfully and said, "I just want to keep playing, and maybe teach other kids who look like me that they can win too." He wasn't just playing for himself anymore. He was rewriting what genius looked like. If this story moved you, inspired you, or gave you even a flicker of hope, please do one thing. Subscribe to Lived Truths for more powerful, emotional, and real-life inspired stories that the world needs to hear. Because sometimes, the smallest voices carry the biggest truths.